Ahead on Business Unusual, a leading airline opens its books to employees. Investors call on a higher power for corporate governance, and why less may be more when it comes to discount retailing. That's all ahead on Business Unusual. Hello and welcome to Business Unusual. I'm Christine Romans, sitting in for Willow Bay. To say that the airline business is complicated oversimplifies the case. Delta Airlines lost more than $1 billion in 2001, and it continues to be in the red in 2002, yet it has one of the strongest balance sheets of the major carriers. At a moment when gloom pervades in the industry and trust in corporate governance is at a low, Delta is opening its books and showing its employees how the airline game is played. Peter Viles has the story.
What are those sixes you have to move on your board? So the first thing we do is move our $40 million in accounts receivable to cash.
Britt Allen is not an accountant. On most days, he works in Delta Airlines' sheet metal shop.
It's got to be written down on the debt column anyway.
Paul Blair maintains Delta's jet engines. The two are taking turns being president of the airline in a game designed to teach business literacy. The workshop, called Our Business, Our Airline, is the brainchild of Delta's actual president, Fred Reed.
You could be a mechanic working at 3 o'clock in the morning, or you could be a check-in agent overseas, or you could be a pilot flying the aircraft. What our airline, Our Business, does is give you the entire picture, how the enterprise works, what are the factors of success, and what are the perils of failure.
We will be running an airline business on several occasions throughout the day.
The class is offered on a voluntary basis to Delta's entire 67,000-member workforce. Everyone from operations to flight attendants to ground crew can sign up. They get a head full of business basics.
An income statement, a balance sheet.
Then it's time to play the game.
To point to the person that you want to be your president. 1, 2, 3.
Revenue and expenses are determined by a roll of the dice. Then it's up to the group to decide how to make the business prosper. Workers see the financial impact of everything from a lost piece of luggage to discount tickets to bad weather.
Unlike the real world, we have to let our auditor know what's going on with the books. Before I came in here, really didn't have a good understanding how they came up with some of the numbers that we hear back on the floor where I work. A lot of times how they're saying we're not making money or we are making money, and where the financing, how it's falling out, and that's really been informative that way.
Some of the things that we do at work now make a little more sense, the cost savings as far as inventory and that kind of thing. It brings home the fact that the big corporate business, even though it's in millions, is just like your home budget. It's ins and outs of how much we take in, how much we put out, where do we owe, how can we stay afloat, stay in the black.
The workshop also answers some pressing questions like, why is Delta losing money even though passengers are flying again?
The air carriers tried to raise airfares, the majors, couldn't do it. Didn't stick. Because the travelers were like, I'm not going to pay it. I don't have to, because I can go to Southwest, JetBlue, AirTran, and buy the same transportation for a lot less cost. So you majors, you go ahead and try and raise that airfare. It's not going to happen.
Some come away from the workshop with a better understanding of what makes Delta tick.
They've given their employees a great opportunity to see what actually goes on from a financial side of the corporation and where the numbers come from, that they're not made up.
Some employees didn't get it, and a few we spoke to felt that the class is just a way to justify cuts in employee health care benefits expected later this year. But Delta President Fred Reed says that the program was planned more than a year ago and is a reflection of his business philosophy.
I've been an advocate of open book management and transparency for 15 or 18 years now, and I'll be honest that I've gotten into a lot of trouble with that because I've always said you've got to take the maximum amount of information to the employee. It's about respect. It's about showing them that you trust them with sensitive information.
Employees, many of whom are stockholders and customers, do seem enthused. There is a 1-month waiting list to get in, and Delta expects 40,000 employees to move through the workshop before the end of the year. The goal? Improved performance all around.
We are in a competitive environment. This is a brutally competitive business, and people like to win.
For Delta, a $3.5 billion corporation, the class costs about $2 million, which comes out of an already existing training budget. And for that, at the very least, employees get a slightly better view of what it's like to run an airline.
It's nothing I would want to do every day at all.
There you go. That's better.
For Business Unusual, I'm Peter Viles, CNN Financial News.
There were hopes that the airline industry would turn this summer, but it now looks as if it may take until the second quarter of next year for a real recovery. Despite that, Delta remains one of the strongest in its class and has not asked for government loan guarantees.